I'm Freya, and welcome to my beginning belly dance class. So we're going to continue on with the choreography that we've been working through the last couple of weeks. But first we're going to start with a nice warm-up. So starting with our feet, we're going to work our way up. So 1 foot forward, just going to point and flex. And your arms can be wherever they're comfortable so that you maintain your balance. And switch. Switch, now we're going to go out to the side. For those of you that are not ballerinas, your knee is going to go straight forward as if kind of towards your audience, and your weight, or not your weight, your big toe is going to be what's contacting the floor. If you do know how to turn out from your hips so that your knees point out, your feet point out, you can do more of a typical ballerina pose where your knee is up and you're on the whole, I guess, arc of your toes. So I'm going to do the knee forward, which is what I think most of you are at. We're just going to point and flex, point and flex. Switch. Now we're going to go behind, switch foot again. Behind, point. For flex, you're just going to put that heel down, keep that back leg straight. Front can be a little bent into a mini lunge. So point and flex, point and flex. And switch sides, point and flex. Up to our knees, we're just going to do a little mini bend. So you want to make sure that your knees stay in line with your toes. So no knees out here or in here. Toes and knees are going to be straight, and you're just going to do a little mini squat. I don't want your knees coming way past your toes. So try to keep your knees coming down towards your toes. If you need to stick your booty back so that you bring your knees back in line with your toes, go ahead and do that. And we're just going to do mini squats. Down, up, down, and up. Real small, just to get your knees starting to warm up. Let them know that it's time to work. All right, let's move on to our hips. We're going to do forward and backwards on each hip. So we'll start with this hip going forward, up, your heel's going to come up to bring your hip up, and back and around. So you're drawing a circle like a Ferris wheel on your hip. So forward, up, and back. Forward, up, and back. Forward, up, back. Just rolling that hip back. And switch sides. Again, you're going forward, up, back. Drawing that circle with your hip. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just, again, trying to get those joints and muscles woken up and warmed up. Switch sides. Now we're going to go forward. So we're going forward, up, back. And now just a quick other direction. All right, switch sides. Going forward again, forward, up, back. Switch directions. All right, now we're gonna go back back into our knees a bit as we work our waist and our torso. So bending your knees, and again, knees in line with your toes. You're going to arch your back. I'm trying to do this out my arms. Arch your back, squat, and come down between your legs. And once you get down here, you're going to drop your head, arch your back, and roll up. It's kind of your standing cat-cow. So arch and down, round and up. Arch, down, round, up. Arch, down, round, up. 2 more times. Arch, down, round, up. Arch, down, round, up. And a little bit more to get that torso going. We're just gonna do our washing machine. So just feet nicely apart so you're stable. Make sure you allow that heel to come up so that as you're twisting your torso, not your knees. I don't want you twisting one direction and having your knees shooting off in the other direction. That would not be a fun way to start a belly dance class. And just let your arms kind of flop around as they go. They're just along for the ride. We'll get to them next. And I don't know if you can see my little helpers in the video. We've got Kaylee sleeping on the bench and Henry sleeping in the bed on the floor, and Tyler's making his way around my feet trying to trip me as he chews on his bone. All right, let's move on to arms and shoulders. So like we did with our hips, we're gonna do that with our shoulders and our arms. So your shoulder is gonna go backwards. To go backwards, you're gonna go forwards first, up and back. Forward, up, back. Forward, up, back. So let's do that with both shoulders. Forward, up, back. Forward, up, back. And let your hands and your elbows just kind of go along with the ride. This is a great opportunity to practice those really soft, wavy arms. Forward, up, back. Forward, up, back. One more time. Forward, up, back. Now we're going to do the same motion, but letting our entire arm get involved. Forward, up, back. Now just shoulders. Full arm. Shoulder. Arm. Shoulder. Arm. Shoulder. Arm. Shoulder. Arm, one more. Shoulder. Arm. Now the other direction. Shoulder. Full arm. Shoulder. Full arm. Shoulder. Full arm. Shoulder. Full arm. Shoulder. Let's do these 2 more times. Shoulder and arm. Shoulder and arm. And then a few shoulder drops. This is one of the few times I'm going to tell you to put your shoulders to your ears. So squeeze your shoulders up to your ears and drop. And you just drop, 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 drop. All right. Now let's do a little bit with our neck and our head. Just going to gently tilt your head to the side. A nice stretch along here as gravity pulls your head down. And other side. Other side. And again. Now from here, do your half circle, chin to chest, and up to your right side, chin to chest, and over to your opposite side. If you want to go all the way around, if your neck can handle it, go for it. All right, so we are going to be doing some additional choreography today, and we're going to be playing around with our hands a little bit. So we are going to do some hand exercises. So coming into prayer position, you're just going to take one dominant hand and push the other one over. Now don't really shove your fingers over. If you've not done a lot of this, your fingers aren't going to be terribly flexible. If you can barely go at all, just go until you feel that stretch. So push and release. Push to the other side. Release. Push. Release. Push. Release. One more time on each side. Push. Release. Push. Release. Now we're going to do a inchworm. So starting with one hand on top of the other, you're going to bring the heel of your hand to your fingers by curling it up to your fingers. And then you're gonna unroll your fingertips. And that's how you're gonna work your way across your arm. So heel to fingers, unroll your fingers. Heel to fingers, unroll those fingers. Heel to fingers, unroll your fingers. And switch. Heel to fingers, unroll. Heel, unroll. Heel, unroll. And switch. Heel, unroll. Heel, unroll. Heel, unroll. And switch. Heel, unroll. Heel, unroll. Heel, unroll. And switch. One more time each side. Heel, unroll, heel, unroll, heel, unroll, and switch. Heel, unroll, heel, unroll, heel, unroll. So the goal of what we're doing with our hands today is to create a lot of micro movements in your fingers. So we do a lot of really soft movement with our hands, and our arms get involved in these really beautiful, showy, but it's pretty much arms into wrists. We're gonna take that and we're gonna add a wave into the fingers themselves. And as we do this, a little thumbs here, just make sure they stay tucked in. So you're just gonna take your fingers, bring them in and out, and that's gonna become your wave. So it's no longer these big, beautiful flowy arms that we've been playing around with. It's gonna be very small and tight. Now you might notice that your fingers are getting a little tired, even the backs of your hand and your wrist. So it's gonna take building up a little muscle strength here if you're not used to using those tiny little muscles there. So just small little hand waves. And those of you that like to stick your hand out the car and do this while you're driving, you've already kind of got the motion started. So that might help you, although it might give you a very dominant side. So let's play around with our choreography. We are going to add on to the beginning of our choreography. So we're going to start with just a quick review. Now in our choreography, it starts very suddenly. And so since we're still learning on anticipating when that first note is going to start, we're going to start with our hip already up and primed and ready to go. So we start with weight on the left, right foot is popped, and that right hip is ready to go. And we're going to start with our Mayas, or our hungry hippo hips. So you're going down, down, out, and in. So down, down, and out. Other side, down, down, and out. Down, and down, down, down. So we're doing 4 of those as our arms come up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. From here, you repeat 4 more with your hips as your arms cross. 1, 2, arms stay here, 3, 4. Now our arms come up as our left hip comes up, and we drop up 1, drop 2, step behind, turn 3, 4. Hold 5, left hip, step, right hip, step, left hip, turn 3, 4, again hold 5, left hip, step, right hip. So that's what we've done so far. What we're going to do next is we're going to add on to that. So we are here, just on our left hip, step behind, right hip. So we're going to do 2 little hand waves. It's relatively fast, so it's 1 at the top of your fingers and about where your ears are and down. Just 1, 2, down. Now our right foot is popped. Our hips are about neutral. So we're going to start with the simple version of this, which is just a hip down. So 1 hand, 2 hand, down, hip, Now we're going to step back on that, and your chest is going to come forward and up. We're going to do a body roll. So the first half of the body roll is putting your foot behind you. Chest comes forward and up. Then you're going to put your weight on that foot, lean back, and you're going to tap your left foot as you bring that body roll down. Now your left foot is tapped and you're ready for the other hip. Hip. Now we're going to step back again. So you're going to step, put your weight on it, and tap. First part of the step, step, right arm comes up and down. Put your weight on it, left arm comes up and down. Now your hip is ready to go. A third time with the hip. So real slow and simple to start with. We've ended here. One hand, two hand, down. Hip, step, body roll, down. Hip, step, right arm, left arm, hip. So that's the simple version of it. And some of you have said that the more complicated version is actually easier for you. So we're going to run it just with the simple version a few times because I want to make sure you get where your weight is and transferring that weight. So you step back, put your weight on it. Step back, put your weight on it. So let's do the simple version first, and then we'll do the more complicated. So we are here and our shoulders are down. One hand, two hand, down. Hip, step, body roll, tap. Hip, step right, step left, hip. Again, from here. Hand one, hand two, and down. Hip, body roll, hip, arm, arm, hip. So each hip has a 5-count pattern. So we're doing 1, 2, hold 3, 4, 5. So from our hand, the hips are down, up, hold, down, down. Now the down, down is a down in the front, down in the back. And you're going to try to do a half down in the front, all the way down in the back. So it's almost like you're stepping down towards the back. So first step, second step. So you're alternating forward and back while also doing up, down halfway, down all the way. So it's multiple different levels that we're playing with. So down, up, down to the front, up, and down to the back. So again, down, up, down, down. Again, it's down, up, down, down. Down, up, down, down. Down, up, down, down. Now it's going to be faster than that, so we're going to make it a little bit smaller as we go. But let's move on through the whole combo. So we've done our hands 1, hands 2, and down. Down, up, down, down. Step, body roll, transfer weight. Again, down, up, down, down. Step, right arm, left arm. Down, up, down, down. All right, so let's try that again. Arms are up. Hand 1, hand 2, and down. Down, up, down, down. Body roll, down. Down, up, down, down. Step right arm, left arm. Down, up, down, down. All right, so we're gonna do it with the music. And if you haven't watched the choreography practice video yet, I'm gonna do it for you first just with the music because I want you to hear the cues because the counting is a little funky and it's gonna be easier to go by music cues than by just a simple 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see how this goes. Here we go. This is our backwards hip part. So hopefully you can hear the down, up, down, 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 da 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 da. We're doing the da da, hold that, da da da. So da 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 da. Clearly I'm not a singer, please forgive me. So we have our kind of warble sound, da 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 da. Second, da 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 da. Warble, warble, da 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 da. So, if you feel like doing it with me, do it with me. If you need to watch it again, watch it again. Let's try that again. Alright, so it's a little fast, but getting that combo into your head, that da-dun, da-dun, da, da-dun, da-dun, da. I do see how that is sometimes easier for a lot of you. So if you are ready to charge ahead with the full 5 beats, do it. Otherwise, if you're still getting kind of confused on your feet, let me do it with just a single hip on each of those. We can practice that for now. Here we go. So you can do it like that, which is a single hip, just to get those feet. But remember, you're not taking 2 steps, it's a step and a weight change. So the first one, you step and then you change weight. Then you step and you change weight. So 2 steps, but you're thinking of it as 4 beats because it's step and weight. Step and weight. Step, change that weight. So let's try that again, and then we're going to start putting it together with everything we've learned so far. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to start the music from the very beginning, and we're going to try the whole sequence with starting with our hippo, our hungry hippo hips, and then our backwards Egyptians with our turns, and then we go into this new combo. So here we go. Starting tucked, shoulders are down, hips primed and ready. Up, left, turn. Left, right. Left, turn. Left, right. Hands. Roll, hip. Right arm, right. All right, let's try it again. Up, left, turn. Left, right. Left, turn. Left, right, hands. Right up, body roll, left, right. All right, hopefully you're following along pretty well. So we're gonna do this one more time and see how we do. My hip scarf is trying to migrate south. that's what we're gonna do next. And this is a little tricky, so we're gonna take it slow and basic today, and we're gonna start adding some complexity to it as we go along. So we are gonna start with how this movement is working. So in the music you hear this kind of sound. So I want you to think of it as you're moving and all of a sudden it hits slow motion like the Matrix. And then you move and it hits slow motion again. So that's kind of the pattern, moving and then real slow. I also want you to think of a wall about this high next to you. And we're moving, we're basically stacking blocks as we go along. But eventually we're gonna hit that wall. So we're starting with our foot. Our foot comes over. Then our hip comes up and over, but our ribs have stayed behind. Then our ribs come up and over, and now we've all lined up, we've hit that wall. But our upper body can go over top of the wall. So our shoulder and our arm can keep going across the wall. So again, we're stacking up blocks. We're starting from here and we're rebuilding ourselves over here. So starting, and I'm gonna put my arms up so you can see what's going on without my arms in the way. So we're starting, foot comes out. Then our hip comes, basically a hippo, a hungry hippo hip. Up, out, down. Our ribs have stayed where they are. Now they're gonna follow along. Up, over. So you're getting a body wave. Unlike the body waves where the energy comes down or comes up, now the energy is going over. So you're doing this wave over. And I'm realizing with this shirt that I wore, it might be a little hard for you to see because it's kind of blowing out in the lights. Hopefully you can see pretty well. So you're stepping out and over. So we're gonna take this nice and slow. And I really, again, want to emphasize you're stacking up blocks. So you're starting with your foot stepping out. Then your hip goes. Then your ribs can come over. And then your arm and your shoulder come next. So step, hip, ribs, arm. And as you do your arm, you can kind of imagine if you're going to hit a wall and this keeps going, it's going to drag your upper body a little bit. So you're going to actually turn your shoulders to face your right side. Now your lower half is going to pretty much be staying, we're going to try to keep our hips forward, but they're going to end up a little turned that way. So your hip, then your ribs, and then your arm twists you, and you can see my hips are almost at a 45-degree that way. But I'm trying to keep them as much this way as I can while turning that way. So you're doing this like twisting. And that is the official term for it, it's a twist. So, trying this again. You're stepping out right, then your hip out, and now you're gonna bring your ribs over to join it, and then your arms, which have been down, I'm just bringing them up so you can see, it's gonna keep going. And there's going to be a little bit of a shoulder kind of up and back. Even though your arm is going to be going out this way, there's an up and back to get that wave started. So foot, hip, ribs, and shoulder. And then it comes out through the arms. And ideally, coming a little bit closer, as you come out through the arm, you end with your fingers unrolling. And it's just this lovely little extension of those fingers. So again, starting, and I'm gonna do it with the arms properly this time. Hopefully you've seen my hips enough. So we're starting foot, hip, ribs, arm comes out, and it basically is gonna swing from your hip and out. This arm stays in a lovely kind of framing arc of your left hip. I don't know if you can see that in the mirror. Here we go. So step out, hip, ribs, arm comes out. Now we're going to do this again. So we're going to go back this way just so you can see how it's going to work, and then we're going to complicate it, like I like to do everything. So we've just done our stacking our blocks to the right. So stack ankle, hips, ribs, shoulder, arm. Now we're going to stack the other way. So you're going to step on your left foot. Hip is going to come over. Ribs are going to come over. And then in, ribs, and then your arm. So it's the same motion, and just like with so many things in belly dance, you're probably going to have a dominant side that you feel like you can really get it, and another side that's just like the dysfunctional child. That just tells you that you need to work on one side a little bit more than the other, but don't worry about it, because the whole thing we're going to practice over and over again. So let's try to the right, and then we'll go back to the left. So stacking, foot, hip, ribs, arm, fingers, and then foot, hip, ribs, arm, fingers. So hopefully you see kind of basic back and forth. So you're going this way and stacking, and then you're going back to where you came from and stacking. So stack to the right, stack to the left, to the right, to the left. But to make it more complicated, we're going to go to the right, and then we're going to go to the audience. So right side is just how I taught it. Stack foot, hip, ribs, arm. But now, instead of going all the way back here, we're going to go freak out the audience a bit. So we're here. I'm just going to put my arms down again so you can see. You're going to step forward, and then hip comes towards the audience, ribs come to the audience, and then your arm comes and points right to the audience. So, and again, being on video rather than in a room with you guys, I'm going to try to do this from different angles so you can see what I'm doing exactly. But starting our right side movement, foot, hip, ribs, arm. Now we're stepping this way, stepping foot. Now our hip is going over, our ribs are going over, and then our arm is going over as this shoulder tilts forward. Now, I should leave my feet here. If you're not careful, we're going to end up with some funky feet here because we're facing our right side. So we just did our this way. So your weight is on your right foot and your left foot is kind of out here. When you step forward, you're stepping kind of parallel to what your back foot is doing. But as you twist, you get this weird, and I hope you can see it, basically your foot's going this way, your body's trying to go that way, your knee doesn't know if it should follow your body or your foot, and you get this weirdness happening. So when you take that step, you're going to take a slightly bigger step than it might feel comfortable doing. So again, we've just done our hip, we're here. Instead of just stepping kind of out this way, I want that toe to come all the way forward as you bring your hip over, so that you're bringing your hip almost over, instead of to the side of your foot, it's almost like it's going over to the top of the toe. So again, we're here, you're stepping forward, hip, ribs, and now your toes should be mostly facing forward so that you can lean into that foot. You can actually bend your knee and really lean into it, because now your toes and your knee are going the same direction as all the energy of that last arm. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please hit me up and we can do one-on-one if that doesn't make sense. But the feet are important, not only so it looks pretty, but again, I don't want you twisting an ankle or a knee or just losing your balance because your feet are in their funky places. So again, we'll start with our right side. So our arms are down. So step, hip, ribs, arm, and fingers, and then step, One note on the arms, once this arm is done with its business, we're not just going to drop it. It's still got a lot of energy and a lot of power, so we're going to pull it down as if that pulling is what pushes this arm forward. So this arm got it there all by itself, but this one's going to take a little extra energy from this backwards pulling arm. So forward and pull. Forward and pull. Forward, pull. All right. So now, let's try this with music so you can hear how you stack everything up and then you slow down. Because once you hit that wall, this energy stops and this keeps going, but at a slower rate. So let's give that a shot. Roll, hip. All right, let's do that again. Really listen for those two cues. Here we go. So this is going to take some finessing, and we're going to do some drills in our next class that's going to really start working you on this motion. But another thing to keep in mind with this, it's called a sidewinder. I don't know if I even said that yet, but this sideways wave. We're trying to create this really dynamic pushing and pulling effect. So keep in mind that as your hip is going over, your ribs should be staying in place, but by staying in place, you're creating this pulling effect where your ribs are staying, but your hip is pulling away from them, and you get this diagonal pull until your ribs can catch up. So really try to exaggerate that as you're practicing this. So your hip comes out and over, and you can really just stretch that side of your body, just stretch that out. And then your ribs can come join. So again, stretch it out and catch up. So stretch and catch up. Other side, stretch and catch up. Stretch it out and then catch up. So I hope you can see with this light shirt that maybe wasn't the best, what's going on. And again, as you do your arms with it, you get this continuing of that motion as you come forward. So now, just so you can see it from an audience perspective, so you are now my audience rather than the mirrors. So from the audience perspective, we're doing our hands, hip up, hip, hip, body roll, hip up, hip, hip, arm, arm, hip up, hip, hip, stepping out, and then really like going for that audience and just kind of almost not aggressively, but kind of creepily, kind of going after, like, oh, you thought I was going away? No, we're coming for you. So really put that sassiness that we've been playing around with, that kind of personality that you have as you roll to the side and then you go after the audience. So let's put all that to music. And again, since you can start and rewind this video, you're welcome to watch. If you're feeling ready, please join in and start practicing it with me. Here we go. Starting from the beginning, lovely tuck, hip is primed. Here we go. hopefully, that is making sense. And we are gonna, like I said, we're gonna start doing some more drills to really get these side motions going. It's something that we haven't done, I don't believe, in any of my classes yet. We've been doing a lot of upward hips, and we've been really focusing on this body roll. So, sorry dancers, we're gonna be putting this body roll in a lot of things so you can get lots of practice with it. But once it clicks for you, we're gonna be doing this all the time because it's fun to do and it looks fun. So next week's class is gonna be a little more drill heavy so that we can really work on this sideways flexibility. So we've got a few minutes left to go, and I want to go over some of the other choreography that we've done already, because I believe somewhere along the line, half of you got part of a choreography and the other half didn't. So where this just ended is the part that was supposed to be a call and response. So one half, you know, as one of you is here, we all kind of pull back and pose. One half does a thing, da, 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 and then they pose, while the other half of you do your thing, da, 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 da. With this format online, it's gonna be a little tricky, so I'm gonna eventually teach everybody both parts. But I just want to review the second part that we went over with some of you. And that is the part that includes the hip circle shimmy. So it's hip circle, and I think we may have done this in the video, but some of you said you didn't remember this part, so we're gonna go over the whole thing. So, we've just finished our sidewinder, and then group one is gonna go and do their thing, and then we are group two. Group two is gonna do a washing machine shimmy going up at an angle. So we're stepping out on the right and going up. Now to start that washing machine shimmy, or twisting shimmy, you can do a little wind up to the left and then shimmy, 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 shimmy up to an angle. And you don't want to make this a big, and then we go this way. Just a little if you need to get it started. So shimmy, 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 you're up at an angle. And now another one of our favorites, a backwards body roll. And this is another, weight is on the right, left foot is back in this beautiful line. The body roll is bringing your weight just back onto that left foot. And it's gonna do so because we've gone up at an angle about 45 degrees this way. It's gonna bring you back down so you can now take that 45 degree that you're facing, and with your first step forward. So keep those angles in mind. If you go too far this way, you're gonna have to get all the way around to the front. So keep that washing machine shimmy to a 45 degree, both upwards 45 degree, and as far as stage is concerned, you're not straight forward, but you're not all the way to the right. You're 45 degrees in between. So shimmy, 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 body roll back, and then we do our circle shimmies. So circle, circle, back circle, 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 back circle, circle. Now, most of you have done the washing machine shimmy with me before and the body rolls. We've done a lot. So I'm not going to go over those, but just a recap of the hip circle shimmy. And I'm sure there's a tutorial in one of the earlier videos, but again, we're just going to go over it real quick while I got you. And that is a basic hip circle. So you're coming forward to the right, back, left. Hips forward, and I'm going to do exaggeration theater here. Forward, right, back, left. All the way forward over those toes, back, over your heels, and left. Now, quick note on posture. This is the best way for you to see me. So, our posture, you take these small little abs down here at the bottom and you squeeze those, pull them up, and that puts your tailbone down and kind of lengthens your back. So that's our lovely posture. But the tendency is to go forward in the tuck, right in the tuck, and then you let your butt out to get back here, and you get this sway back, and I can already feel it pinching my back. And it's just not particularly pretty, and it is not good for your joints, your muscles, and all that. So everybody stick your butt out in terrible position. Staying here, squeeze those low abs and pull your upper abs up, or your lower abs up, and straighten out that spine. Put your tailbone down. Hopefully you can see the difference. So my sway back, I'm squeezing it, I'm pulling it up, but I'm still way back here. So you can stay in your tuck without having to go like this. And also, I mean, if you can see my lovely belly here, if I let everything go, my belly just kind of flops out. So keeping that tight, you keep all of that nice and long, and you can do your hip circles without letting your hip or your tuck go. So keep that tucked. All right, so let's talk about the footwork of this. So the footwork of the hip shimmy, or sorry, the circle shimmy. We are going to do right foot first, and so therefore we are going to do a clockwise circle the entire time. We are never going to switch and go the other direction. So we're going forward to the right, and again forward to the right. When you step back, you are still going forward to the right, forward to the right. So forward, it's pretty easy. You're stepping forward, your hips are going forward. It's kind of a natural movement. Going back, you're stepping back and your hips are going forward. So you've got, again, this kind of pulling you in opposite directions. Just embrace the weirdness of it. So don't do this at an angle. So hips go forward, foot goes back, right and around. So step forward, clockwise, clockwise. Step back, forward to the right, forward to the right. Again, forward to the right, forward to the right, forward to the right, forward to the right. And when we get to the music, it's fast. So you are going to decide for yourself which of 3 speeds you're going to work on first. Eventually, I want you to be able to do at least 3 shimmies in the forward and in the back. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But again, it's fast and it's going to take some work. So to start with, just a single 1 circle back. 1 circle forward, 1 circle back. 1 circle forward, 1 circle back. So you're only doing 4 total circles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you're ready and you're comfortable with that, double it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then when you're comfortable with that and you're not getting screwed up trying to do your forward hips and your backward step, then speed it up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we'll get there. So I think most of you should be at the double circle. 2, 1, 2 as you're practicing. 1, 2. But as you hear in a minute with the music, it is a little fast, so we're just going to focus on the double for now. So let me play the music so you can hear where that comes in. Here we go. And then again. Repeat. So again. Here we go. Now repeat. All right, well, let's just keep going. And then after this section right here comes our slow part, and we're just going to review that real quick. Here we go. Remember, our slow part actually starts with a shimmy. Here we go. Shimmy. Hip. Back with the hip. Up. Up. Back. Left. Right. Left and turn. Left. Right. Left and turn. First part. Awesome. All right. So that is our big review of the choreography. Like I said, next week we're going to be doing a lot more drills because I really want to focus on getting these not only fast, but so they look like circles. Because when I'm not thinking real well and I go too fast, eventually I end up in upward hips. And that's no fun because we're doing those somewhere else. So we want to keep them circles. And then of course, working on our flexibility for this lovely move here. But for today, thank you for joining me. I know that was a lot to kind of cram into our 1 hour class. Hopefully this means that everybody is caught up into the same place. So let's cool down. All right, I'm gonna take this guy off since he wants to come off anyway. And let's cool down. So let's start with our forward fold. We're gonna start by reaching for the ceiling, really try to touch that ceiling, and then dive down and touch your feet. And just hang here. And let your head kind of loosen up off of the neck. And then really hang loose, like a piece of ripe fruit on the vine. And then bend your knees. Let your stomach and your chest kind of hang on your upper thighs here. And take the weight and let your upper back kind of spill over the side. And then roll up. And again, reach for the sky. Really try to touch the sky or your ceiling. And dive down. And hang. You can grab your elbows for a little bit more weight to pull you down, but really let gravity do the work. Bend your knees and roll up. All right, and let's do our washing machine twist. Just let your arms go along for the ride. And if you're feeling tightness in any particular part of your torso, you can adjust your arms. If you bring them up here, as they flop around, you should feel a bit more in your upper back. Or if you bring them down, a bit more in your sides and your lower back. And then we're gonna stretch out the front here. So either just grab onto your fingertips, either way, or you can interlace your fingers and pull your arms straight. That's gonna pull your shoulders back and really stretch along the front of the shoulders. Now, if this is enough for you, you can stay here. If you want a little bit more, you can tuck your chin down. You can even do a small squat and bring your arms up overhead. Slowly let your arms go down, roll up, release your arms, and give yourself a nice big hug. All right. Well, thank you for joining me for Quarantine Belly Dance. And I hope you guys are not going too terribly stir crazy. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.